Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Condition Wizard to customize a column in your watch list. Now I've previously recorded and published a video on the Condition Wizard for Thinkorswim. I'll show you how to get to that from our website. From our website you can go to the main menu at the top, Free Tutorials, Thinkorswim Tutorials. From the left-hand navigation menu, click on Thinkorswim Scans. And you can see right at the top of the list is Thinkorswim Condition Wizard. You click on that, then you can see it opens up to the Condition Wizard video. So if you find yourself a little lost in this video, be sure to go back and view the original video that I did. The original video focuses more on the scans, shows a little bit of how to display your code in a... But what I wanted to do is make sure that you understood there was another video that preceded this one where we covered the Condition Wizard in great detail, step by step, very carefully. So if you feel lost at all during this video, go back, watch the other one, and then come back to this one and finish this one. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the forum. I'll show you how to get to the forum. So from the top of our website menu right here, Q&A forum, okay, we'll click on that. And then all I do is scroll down here to the very bottom. That's our list of topics. And you can see that for watch lists, we go ahead and click that. And I'm going to change the view. It's sorted now by newest, and I'm going to change it to most views. So what I'm doing for this video is I'm using the content of our Q&A forum to drive the topics that I cover in the video. And I want to pick the ones that are most viewed because these are the ones that are getting picked up by the search engines. So people are doing a search in Google and DuckDuckGo and Bing and other search engines, and they're coming up with solutions posted in the Q&A forum, and that's how these views pile up over time. And so I just want to let you know that's where I'm getting the topics for today's video. I'll be covering those shortly. I'll give you a review basically of what we're going to cover in today's video. First I want to show you the watch list. Now many of you might not know where you can get the watch list gadget on your Thinkorswim platform. So we'll go ahead and go to the chart and we'll open the side menu here. You can see that I've got one watch list here, and that's a gadget. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and open a watch list as a gadget if you don't have one already listed on your sidebar. For instance, this one here is set to Trader TV, and the one at top, Live News. All right, so we're going to change the Trader TV to a watch list. I'm going to show you how to do that. You go ahead and click the menu, and then you select Switch Gadget, and then you can select Watch List from the list. Voila, we've changed Trader TV to a watch list. So I'm going to collapse that because we don't need that, and I'm going to show you next how we detach a watch list from the sidebar. This is very helpful because you might want to collapse that sidebar to make best use of your real estate. So you've got chart screen instead of, sidebar with a bunch of stuff here. So we'll click on the menu and select Detach Gadget. And that's it. So we've taken that watch list and now we can click and drag that and put that anywhere on our screen that we want to. Okay? So I'm going to close that because I've already got one open off to the side here. I'm going to collapse the side menu and then we'll drag that watch list in. And I want to show you that I've got this push pin activated that says always on top. When that push pin is straight up and down like that, then anytime you click on the chart, the watch list is always going to stay on the top. That's very helpful because then you can put that off to the side and you can work with your chart and you can scroll back and forth if you want to on the chart, access various other things on the platform like scans and whatnot, and the watch list will always stay on the top. The other thing I want to show you is I've got it linked. I've got it linked to number 9, okay, symbol link. Symbol link is number 9. It's also the color lilac, all right? And I've also got the chart set up to that same link number, okay? So I've got the chart and the watch list both linked together so that whatever I click on in the watch list automatically gets loaded on the chart, all right? So I wanted to cover those. Those are some basic things that we've covered in many of our watch list videos in the past, but I wanted to give you a clear understanding of that before we get too far into this because I don't want anybody to get lost before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's topic, okay? So let's go ahead and move that off to the side, and I do want to show you some of the topics we're going to be covering today. So the first one we're going to cover is we're going to show how to assign the background color based on Stochastics FullK greater than Stochastics FullD. This is a request in the Q&A forum, and I provided a solution that was based on code. Here's what the user who input the question posted. They posted their own code, and they tried to put in their own statement here to assign price color, and then I went ahead and provided another solution here. Now this is a code-based solution. What we're going to provide is building that strictly from the Condition Wizard, and the only thing we're going to have to mess with is this statement right here, assign, well, we're not going to assign price color, we're going to actually assign the background color right here. Okay, so we're going to replace all of this code here with code that we build using the Condition Wizard. And with the Condition Wizard, we don't have to write any code at all. We just build our condition and it produces the code for us. And then I'll show you how to grab that code and edit it so that we can make use of it in customizing our watch list columns. Some of the other topics we're going to cover, we're going to show you how to do one with the RSI. But using these tools, you'll be able to select from a list in the Condition Wizard and choose whatever indicator that you would like to use. So another topic that we're going to be covering is changing the background color for any prices above the VWAP. So I'm actually going to show you how to do green for above the VWAP and red for below the VWAP. VWAP is a very popular topic on the Q&A forum. There's lots of posts on that one. So let's see, the next thing we're going to be covering the TTM Wave custom color in a watch list. And again, in this one I provided some code here for a solution, and we're going to show you how to build that using the Condition Wizard so that you don't have to know how to write code. All you have to do is learn how to use the Condition Wizard and you'll be able to customize your own custom watch list on your own. Okay, let's see, we're going to go back to the original tab here, and then I'm going to quickly go over the disclaimer, which is not so much a disclaimer as much as it is just telling you the honest truth. I'm not a trader. I don't trade for a living. I earn my living by providing custom tools for our viewers. So don't think that anything in this video is an advertisement or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to teach you how to make money with trading. I'm showing you how to make the best use of your platform and giving you the tools that you can do with your own hands and not have to pay me to do it for you, right? So, okay, with that said, we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get into the details. And to get started, we're going to review some information from the Learning Center published by TD Ameritrade. This is Thinkorswim Learning Center by TD Ameritrade. This is not my website. It's actually tlc.thinkorswim.com. That's the URL of this website. And I use it regularly when I'm doing custom code projects for our clients. And so this is where I go to as a programmer to learn the different tools that are available in the Thinkorswim language to do all of the things that we can do with writing code. So this is one of the main functions we're going to be using today, assign background color. It's super simple. It takes only one argument, and that is your color. And we're going to be using, this is just the most basic example here. It sets the background to dark red, okay? We're going to be adding a little bit of juice to this by including an if-then else statement. So we're going to say if condition true or false, then color white, else color red. Okay, that's just an example. So we're going to be using this. That's how we're going to set the background color of our custom watch list. Another of the functions that we'll be using is assign value color. It works exactly like assign background color, except this one assigns the color of the value that's displayed in the custom watch list. So we're going to be using that as well. And don't worry, most of this is going to be using the Condition Wizard. That doesn't require you to write any code whatsoever, but there's going to be a little bit of adjustments needed, and I'll show you that step by step so that you'll be able to do it without any problems at all. Okay, so the first example, we're going to go step by step, nice and slow, and then the rest of the examples will speed things up a little bit so this isn't an hours-long video, to make sure that you can get all the information that you need to learn how to do this and get some ideas of your own from watching the video. Okay, so the first example we're going to be covering is the assignment of the background color based on the stochastics. We're going to be looking at the full K greater than the full D. So first, let's go to our chart and put the stochastics on our chart. So we're going to go to Studies, Edit Studies. We're going to search for Stochastics. We're going to put in Stochastics Full. Double click to add that to the chart. We'll hit Apply and OK. So that way we can see what the stochastics is doing, and when we write our code, we'll be able to match up what our code is displaying in the watch list to what shows on the chart. Now, the condition we're looking for here is a color based upon the Stochastics full K, which is this red line right here, being above the full D, which is the magenta line. Okay, so you can see right here where these two cross over, that's where the full K is greater than the full D. And what we'll do is we'll set it up so that it's red if the full K is below the full D, and green if the full K is above the full D. So it's going to be red, for instance, in this section of the chart, and then it's going to turn green for this section of the chart. Okay, so we'll show you how to do that, and we'll build that using the Condition Wizard. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go to Studies, Edit Studies, and I've got a temporary study that I've already added to the chart. Doesn't matter what's in here. What we're going to do is we're going to edit the code. So we're going to click on the little script icon here. Just click once, and now we see that we are in the ThinkScript editor. Now notice over here is the Condition Wizard. So we're going to switch tabs here and switch from the ThinkScript editor to the Condition Wizard. This one here is close is greater than open. It's a true-false condition, as they all will be, and we don't need this, so we're going to delete it. I'm going to show you now how to add a new condition. It's this button down here in the bottom left, and then we're going to select Add a Condition. We're going to select a study. Notice you can select Value, Study, Function, or Price. Now, if you get lost at any point during this video, we've done a video previously that covered the Thinkorswim Condition Wizard, and we went into great detail and showed you many examples. So be sure and view that video. If you don't feel comfortable with this and you get lost along the way, then go back and view the other video. That will get you fully up to speed. We'll go back to the chart platform. We're going to select a condition. So we're going to select a study. And just like we searched for stochastics on the chart study, we're going to do the same here. Stochastics full. And we want the full K is greater than, and then from the right-hand side menu, we're going to select Study, search for Stochastics Full. So we've got basically the same study on both sides. What we're going to change is the plot. So on the left side, we're comparing the full K plot, and on the right side, we're comparing the full D plot. So we're saying full K is greater than full D. Hit Save. That's it. You're done. Okay, so that's our condition for Stochastics full K is greater than Stochastics full D. We're going to hit Apply and OK, and then Apply. Now, you don't see anything on the chart because this is now plotting on the top price graph. So we're going to click and drag that down to a lower subgraph, and we're going to hit Apply, and now we can see, and we're going to hit OK to clear up the Edit Strategies window, and now we can see that this condition is true, or 1. You see at the top here it's 1, and over here this is 0. So it goes from 0 to 1 when the full K is above the full D. Okay, so when this condition is false, we know that the full K is below the full D. It's either true or false, and that's all we need. So now let's see how we take this code that was created in the Condition Wizard, and you didn't have to write any code, did you? No, all you had to do was click the mouse. And we're going to take that code and we're going to drop it into a custom column on a watch list. And then I'm going to show you how to add in those little bits of code that help us to change the background color so we can see it on the watch list very clearly. So what we'll do is we'll go back to Studies, Edit Studies, and we'll click the script icon. And this is the condition that we created. Remember, we created it using the Condition Wizard, which is here, which you just saw. The platform automatically opens it up in the ThinkScript editor. So all we do is copy this. So I'm going to highlight that and select copy. Now we can press cancel. We can cancel this. We're going to now bring in our watch list. Now, in order to add a new column to the watch list, you're going to right click over one of the columns, any one of these, symbol, last, net change, whatever columns you have in there, right click over one of these columns and select customize. So I'm going to remove this column. This is a custom column. I'm going to remove that because we're not going to be using that for this example. And then you want to click this arrow. You see what I've done here? You can search for various columns that are built in, but if you want to do a custom column, you've got to go ahead and select this arrow and then go down here where it says custom quotes. So when you see the custom quotes, you go ahead and click that. Now these are your available custom columns, okay? And what you'll have is yours, if you haven't created any yet, they'll all start out this way. There'll be custom 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, and so on. I think you get up to 19 of them or something like that to begin with. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click on this one here. That's going to bring it over to the list of current set. And then we're going to click on the script icon, and that will allow us to go ahead and edit the code that's in that custom column. Now what we could do is erase all of this code in this section here, which is the ThinkScript editor, and go over to the Condition Wizard and build it just like we did for the chart study. So you don't really need to do the first step, which is to build it in the chart study. You can do it all here, right in your custom column of the watch list. But I wanted to show you then how you can build it in the chart first so that you can see with your own eyes how it displays on the chart. And then I'll go ahead and paste that code in. I'm just going to right click and paste. So I'm pasting in the code that we created that's already applied to the chart in the lower subgraph. Now we're going to apply and OK. And then we're going to hit OK and view the results. Look at this. So you've got values, zeros and ones. Okay, that's true or false. Look familiar? Yes, it's exactly what is displayed on the chart. Let's look at this one. This one says 0. That's IBM. So we'll click on that one. Lo and behold, on the lower subgraph where we created our chart study, it's set at 0. So everything matches up. Now, I wanted to show you something. The chart is set to daily time frame. I'm going to right click to customize. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that script icon again. And I want to show you here, you need to make sure that your watch list column is set to the same time frame as your chart. If you don't get things lining up, then you're going to be frustrated and you're going to hate me. So make sure that you set your custom column to the same time frame that you expect to see on your chart. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit cancel here and cancel here. All right, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. If you select an intraday time frame, you're going to need to change your chart settings, because anything on an intraday time frame, the chart is going to default to set aggregation period at market open. Yes, that's a setting. That's a mouthful, but that's a setting. I'll show you how to get to it. We go to Style, we go to Settings, and we go to Equities. Equities, Options, Futures, and Forex. You have to set this separately for each one. So we'll go to Equities because that's what we're going to be looking at today. And you see this little setting right here, start aggregation at market open. I told you it's there. That's a setting. By default, it's checked. You need to make sure that that is unchecked. Okay? Because every other tool on Thinkorswim, whether it be a study alert or a scan or a custom watch list column, anywhere else in the platform, start aggregation at market open is not available. It's not available. So the only way you can get your charts to line up with your watch list and your scans and your study alerts is to turn this off on all of your charts. Very, very, very important. Okay, so mine's already off. I'm just going to hit cancel. So let's see. Next step is we're going to change the color of the background of this custom column. Notice we've got zeros and ones. So we're going to add the assign background color as a line of code to our custom wizard code. And then we're going to put an if-then else statement in there to change the color. If it's 1, it's going to be color green. If it's 0, it's going to be color red. Okay, so what we need to do is right-click over the custom column name, and we can select Customize, and then select it from the list, right? Which is to click on the script icon. And that opens up the code editor. But I'm going to show you another way. It's a little bit of a shortcut. I'm going to cancel here. I'm going to cancel here. So if you've already added your custom column to the watch list and you want to edit the code within it or the aggregation period it's assigned to, simply right-click on that column and select Edit Formula. And instead of opening the intermediary window, it opens this window. So you go straight to it. It's a little shortcut. Okay, so you can name your columns here. Okay, I'm not going to change mine because I like it to stay custom 01. I reuse this all the time for different projects that I do for folks. And we're going to go back to the ThinkScript editor. And I'm going to show you now the small little changes. Now, you're going to have to touch the keyboard, but I told you don't be afraid. We're going to write some code here, but don't freak out. Don't turn off the video. Don't walk away in frustration. Just follow what I'm doing very slowly, very carefully. If you get lost, just scrub back to this part of the video and watch it over again. This is very, very simple and very easy. The first thing we need to do is we need to take this true-false condition that we created, which is plotting these lines on our lower subgraph of the chart and plotting the zeros and ones in our custom watch list. We need to assign it to a variable. So in order to do that, we need to define a variable. Okay, so it's DEF for define. It's short for define, DEF. And then we need a name. So we're just going to say my variable. Okay, then we need an equal sign. And we put spaces in between all of these. Notice there's a space between the def and the variable name, and there's a space between the variable name and the equal sign. Okay, we got spaces in there. And at the very end, notice everything's in red, and the error, it says invalid statement. Okay, but I'm not panicked. Do you see me panicking? No, I'm not panicking, because we need one last little bit here to complete it, and that's a semicolon. Just put that semicolon on there, the error disappears. And now we've got a new error that says at least one plot should be defined. Okay, so what we can do then is simply change this DEF to a plot. So we change the DEF to a plot, and now instead of defining a variable name that we then would have to plot and use somewhere else in our code, we can simply do it all in one step, all in one line. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like in the watch list. We'll hit apply and OK, and it looks the same, doesn't it? So that's exactly what we expect, because all we did is we changed it into a form that we can then use in another line of code. So I'm going to go ahead and select Edit Formula. We'll go to the ThinkScript editor, and so we've got plot, my variable. This is the condition that we created using the Condition Wizard that we didn't have to write any code. We got the semicolon at the end. I'm going to press Enter to create another line. And what we need now is one of those function names. Let's go back to the Thinkorswim website, the Learning Center, and we're going to use Assign Background Color. I'm going to copy that so I make sure that I don't make any mistakes typing it. And then we're going to right-click and we're going to paste. Okay, now let's go back to the website so that we can see how to use this. You can see that in the example, and I'll even copy and paste this. Let's do that. Let's copy and paste the example they gave, because the example always works. The example is always going to work. So we go ahead and replace the code that I just put in there. We'll right-click and paste in that example, and it works. Okay, but it's not connected to the variable that we're plotting. It will just simply color everything dark red. Let me show you. We'll hit apply and OK, and there's our watch list column, and everything is red. But that's not what we want. But I wanted to show you the effect of simply copying and pasting that code from the example given from Thinkorswim into our code. So we're going to go ahead and edit the formula again. Now we've got the ThinkScript editor is open by default. The next thing we need to do is replace what's here with an if-then-else statement. Now perhaps for the benefit of our viewers who haven't done anything with code whatsoever, I should give you an example and show you how to get there. So let's do that real quick. Alright, so we're going back to the Learning Center, and we're going to click on the hamburger menu. Now the website address here, I'll give it to you, is www.tlc.thinkorswim.com. Okay, TLC, that's Learning Center. Okay, Thinkorswim Learning Center is TLC. All right, so then you go ahead and click this little hamburger menu here, and we're going to click here. And what I wanted to show you is how to do an if-then-else statement. So I'm just going to type if, and we're going to go down here to reserved words and click on that. And here you'll see several examples. It's called syntax, and these are examples of how to use the if-then-else statement. Okay, so you can read through that. If you get lost and you don't know how to apply this stuff, this is simply, here, we'll just go ahead and copy this. Okay, we'll copy that and we'll paste that right into the code that we're working with here. Paste. Okay, so what that is, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you that you can put this all in one line. Okay, so you can backspace, okay, and delete those characters. You can put the cursor here, you can backspace, put a space in there, and now you've got a place to put your conditions, and it's all in one line. Okay, on the website they show it to you broken down line by line, so you can see the different elements, the if, the and the else. But here you can do it all in one line, and that's what we're going to use in our assign background color. So we're going to grab this right here, just this little section here is all we need. We're going to copy that and we're going to paste it right in here. Okay, now we don't need this anymore, so I'm going to delete that. So what we've got is our if condition, then expression, which is the result. Okay, what do I do when the condition is true? Else, what do I do when the condition is false? Okay, so for the condition, guess what? We're going to use my variable. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to replace this right here, including the little brackets at either side. Right click and paste. So now we've got an if statement that says if my variable is true. Remember, my variable is either 0 or a 1. Okay, that's false or true. Then what? Then we need to add a color. Now, do you remember what the color looked like? The color is the word color dot, and then we put in the color. And then over here, we're going to replace this expression with the color red. So color dot red. And oops, I forgot to erase this little bracket here, so I'm going to erase that little bracket there. Okay, and now everything is good. Now, the colors. You guys, I realize I need to show you the colors. So we'll go back to Thinkorswim Learning Center. We'll go ahead and click on that little hamburger menu, and I'm going to type in color here in the search. And then we want to look at constants. Okay, under constants, we click on color, and then here is a list of all the colors that we can use. Now, we're using green and red. So this is what happens when, so you click on green here, and you can see that there's an example of color dot green. Okay, so that's how you find out how to use those colors. We'll go back to our editor here, and so what we've got is we've got a plot statement, and it's called my variable, and we assigned it the code that we created using the condition wizard, and then we added a function called assign background color. And within that, we created an if-then-else statement that says if my variable is true, then color green, okay, else color red. That's what that is. Now we'll go ahead and hit apply and OK, because we want to view the results. We'll hit apply and OK, and now look at our watch list. Now we'll go ahead and click on the chart so we can see that. Now what we've got, this one here, BHP is red. So we can click on that. Remember, we've linked the watch list to our chart. I want to show you that. The watch list is linked to number 9, and the chart is also linked to number 9. So that way, every time I click on the watch list, it's going to bring up that stock on the chart. So let's click on one that's green. Okay, we got CL over here. So that's green, and you can see in the lower subgraph, that indeed is true. So every time the full K is above full D, it's green. Every time the full K is below the full D, it's red. So there you go. There you have it. It's as simple as that. Now, you can see that these values are a little difficult to see when it's green. So we can change those values from white to black. I'm going to show that to you next. So for the color of the value that's displayed in the custom column, we're going to be using the assign value color. And here's the example that's given in the Thinkorswim Learning Center. And what you have to do is assign it to a plot. So you see they've got plot diff equals close minus close from the previous bar. And then what they do is they take diff and they assign value color. Okay, so that's the syntax. You take the name of the plot, you put a period at the end of it, and then assign value color. And then whatever you have in parentheses here, that is what determines the color that is displayed in the custom column. So we're going to do a very simple example. So we're going to go ahead and copy assign value color, copy. Now let's go back to our watch list and we're going to edit that column. We're going to right click and select edit formula. Then we're going to add another line of code. We're going to right click and select paste. We need my variable as the plot. We're going to copy that and we're going to put it in front of assign value color, paste, and we're going to put a period between them. Remember that period is required. So it's my variable, which is our plot, dot assign value color. Now we need open, close, and parentheses. So we'll put those in, and we need to end it with the semicolon. Notice every single line here has ended with a semicolon. Okay, so every time you've got a new line, it has to end with a semicolon. Now that is red because we need to include a color value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select color.black, and we're not going to confuse things by putting in an if-then else statement here. It's just going to be simply the color black, and that's going to change the color of the values in that column from white to black. So we'll click apply and OK, and we can see the results here in our custom column of our watch list. Whew! Guys, you made it through the first example. Now I told you it was going to be painless. I told you not to be afraid. This is really simple code. We're not going to get much more advanced than this, but I wanted to show this to you very slowly, very carefully, step by step. Next, we're going to get into some of these other examples, so you're going to want to be sure to stick around to see how you can use the Condition Wizard to build using the RSI. We're also going to do an example on the VWAP. Remember I showed you that we were going to cover that. We're going to use the TTM Wave. I might throw in one more as a bonus at the end of the video, and so stick around, okay? We're going to cover those next. And as I said, I'm going to go a little bit faster for these next examples because we took our time on the first example, went step by step, very slowly and carefully to make sure that every detail was covered. So I'm going to speed things up a little bit so we can cram as much as we can into the rest of this video. If you get lost along the way during this portion, just go back to that first example we gave, watch that over again, because I'm going to be reusing those tools again and again for these next examples, okay? Let's see, the next step is to look at the RSI custom watch list. And we can see here the viewer that posted this question. They wanted RSI above 68 and RSI below 32. They wanted red and green. So in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say RSI above overbought or RSI below oversold. So instead of using the values that the viewer requested, which is 68 and 32, I'll simply show you how to use the values that are set for the overbought and oversold in the indicator. So that way I can show you how to adjust the settings of each indicator while working in the Condition Wizard. Okay, so once again, let's get started by going to the chart and study, edit studies, and we'll go ahead and modify our little test study here. And we'll build a new condition. We'll go to the Condition Wizard and we'll delete the condition that we built for the previous example. We'll click Add Condition and we'll select a condition based upon a study and we'll search for RSI. There it is at the top of the list. And we want the RSI value is greater than. Then we'll go to Study, RSI. And for this plot, we want to select the overbought. So we want to know when RSI is greater than the overbought. Well, where does that value come from? That value comes from a user input called overbought. You can see it here that it's defaulted to 70. We're going to change it to 80. Remember that setting because that's the value that is going to be used. RSI is greater than overbought, which is what? 80. Why? Because we changed it. Let's go ahead and save that condition. Okay, so let's go ahead and add another condition, and we're going to add this condition for the oversold. Okay, so we'll go to select a condition, select study, we'll search for RSI, we'll select that. Again, we're going to use the RSI plot, and we're going to say the RSI plot is less than, and we're going to select study, search for RSI, select RSI, and then we want to go ahead and select for the plot, we're going to select oversold. Now the oversold defaults to 30, we're going to change it to 20. So we're going to use 80 for the overbought and 20 for the oversold. But we only need to change it for each condition. So go ahead and click Save. And now we're done. So we hit Apply, and now we just get a flat line. Okay. Now why is that? We don't get zeros and ones. Instead, we get a flat 0. That's because these conditions work together. In other words, this first condition is saying that RSI needs to be above 80. And the second condition says that RSI needs to be below 20. Well, it's impossible for RSI to be both at the same time. So it's going to be false all the time. But all we want to do is utilize the tools here to create the code for us, and then we're going to assign them to variables as we did in the first example, and then take those variables and use them in an if-then else statement to color the background of our custom column. So let's go ahead and look at the ThinkScript editor, and you can see here we've got the word and separating our two conditions. So we created this condition and we created this condition, and they're both true-false conditions, and you can see that the word and is placed between them. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of that word and we need to separate this into two separate lines of code. So I'm going to press backspace on my keyboard, and then I'm going to click right here, right to the left of the RSI. This is our second condition right here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press enter, and that creates it as a separate line. Now I need to assign both of these to variables. Remember that each of these is a separate condition, true or false, and they can't be both true at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to create variables. Remember, I showed you how to do that in the first example. We're going to use the word def, that's short for define. RSI above is the name of the variable I'm going to give it. We're going to use the equal sign, and then we're going to put the semicolon at the end. See how that line now is accepted by the compiler and is no longer highlighted in red. We're going to do the same to the line below it. We can't use the same variable name, so we have to use one that's unique that hasn't been used before. So we're going to use RSI below, and we're going to put a semicolon at the end. I'm going to clean that up a little bit, remove that space there. And there you go. So we've got no more red on the compiler, and we are ready to proceed. We've got two variables. One is RSI above, one is RSI below. Each of those conditions we set up using the Condition Wizard. Now let's put them to work. Okay, so again, I told you this is going to be a little bit more advanced, and it is. So I've created a plot. This is going to be the value that displays in our custom column, and it's simply called value. It really doesn't matter what you name it. If RSI above is true, then we're going to print a value to the custom column of 1. Else, if RSI is below, is true, then -1. So it's going to print a -1 to our custom column in the watch list. Else, 0. So if neither of these two conditions are true, we're going to print 0. So let's hit apply and OK. And let's hit apply and OK. We're going to need to go back to studies, edit studies. We're going to need to remove the stochastics and add the RSI to our chart. And then we're going to need to adjust the inputs for the overbought and oversold, 80 and 20, so that we match the conditions that we set up. So now we've got the RSI at the bottom, and you notice that for this portion of the chart, the condition is never true, it's always false. And I'll hit OK here to move the code editor out of the way. And you can see that the RSI is neither above or below oversold or overbought for the entire span here. So we can scroll back and look to see if RSI is ever outside of either of those two lines, and it's not. So that's why the condition, this blue line here from the result of our code, is always 0. So let's click through let's bring our watch list in here. We're looking at COP. Let's start at the top here and look through a few of these charts and see if we can find one where, there we go. So we've got one here where on Baidu, for instance, the RSI was below the oversold line. And what did we tell our code? Our code says when the RSI is below the oversold, we're going to print -1 on the column in our watch list. And here it is, the spike showing down to -1. Let's look at a few more here. And look, this one here shows that it was above the overbought condition for several bars in a row. So you can see that this indicator here shows that it was a +1 for all of those bars in which the RSI was above the overbought condition. So let's go ahead and grab that code. We'll go to Studies, Edit Studies. We'll click on the script icon and we'll copy that code. And then we'll paste it. I'll hit cancel here and cancel here. We're going to right click over the column name. We're going to edit the formula. And we're going to replace the code from the previous example with the code that we just created. And we're going to hit apply and OK. So you can see these are all zeros now. Oh, we got one here. Okay, ticker symbol M. And that is set to -1. So if we click on that, we should expect to see the RSI is below the oversold line. And yes, indeed it is for the last 3 bars. So now let's go ahead and see how we can modify this code to color the background. We want to have red if it's above the overbought condition, and we want to have green if it's below the oversold condition. And we want it to be the current color, which is black, if it's neither. Let's see how we do that. We'll right click and select Edit Formula. Now we go back to the Thinkorswim Learning Center, and we're going to go back to where we had the page for assign background color. We're going to copy that. In fact, let's just go ahead and copy the example that they gave us. Just like in the first example, we're going to create a new line. So I'm going to press Enter, and then we're going to right click and select Paste. So now we've got a statement that will assign all the rows of that custom column to dark red, which we don't want. We want to create an if-then else statement, just like we did in the first example. If value equals 1, then color.green. Else, if value equals -1, then color.red. Else, color.current. What we do by using the color constant called current, that will display whatever is default for the color scheme that's selected. Remember, the user might be able to select the dark or the light background for Thinkorswim, and that may change the color of the background on the custom column. So rather than fixing it to something that fits one color scheme, let's put it to current. That way it will pick up whatever is valid for that particular color scheme the user selected. Okay, so we go ahead and click Apply and OK. And when you have an item selected like we do here for the ticker symbol M, then you don't get to see the color of the background. That's one of the flaws. I feel it's a flaw in the tool. So let's go ahead and click off of that, and you can see that it's indeed coloring that red, and everything else is the current color, which is black. Okay, so we could go ahead and update our code. We go to Edit Formula, and you can see here is where we have the overbought set to 80 and the oversold is set to 20. Let's go ahead and change those values. Let's make this one 60, And let's make this one 40. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it easier for one of the stocks in the list to qualify as overbought or oversold. So we'll hit apply and OK, and sure enough, we do. So let's go back to our chart and adjust our settings for that study. We're going to need to do it here just like we did for the custom watch list column. And then we're going to need to do it again for the RSI study that's listed here. That way everything is lining up exactly the way it's written. Okay, so you can see here now, if we click on Baidu, we should see that that is below the oversold, and yes it is. If we click on Chipotle here, CMG, we should see that it is above the overbought, which it is. Okay, and you could change the background color from white to black if you wanted to, and just like we did in the first example. But in this case, if you changed it to black, then you wouldn't be able to see these values where the background color is black. So let's go ahead and edit the formula and see how we do that. Remember, we're going to go back to the Learning Center from Thinkorswim. We're going to select assign value color. Then we'll go back and we'll go ahead and paste that in as a new line of code. And we're going to select if value equals equals 0, then color dot current, because we don't want to change it, else color dot black. Okay, so it's a very simple if then else statement, and I misspelled the word black. Let's fix that. And we can see that it's red, and the compiler is giving us a warning here. Assign value color should be called on a base plot. All right, so what does that mean? That means we need to take our plot, which is value, copy, and then we need to paste that in front of assign value color. And what's next? We need to put a period there, because that allows it to say assign. It's basically saying assign value color to what? Assign the color to what? Well, we have to tell it. So we're telling it to assign the value to that plot. Okay, so it says basically if the value is 0, then use the current color, which is white. Otherwise, change it to black. So we'll hit apply, and you can see immediately that everything that's highlighted in red or green, the text color is black. Everything else, the text color is white. Okay, that's all we have for the RSI example. Next, we're going to go on to the background color for the VWAP. So stay tuned, we're going to cover that next. Okay, so we're going to need to add the VWAP indicator to our chart, and then we're going to need to update the code that we have. So we have we're going to build our condition using the Condition Wizard. So let's go to Studies and Edit Studies. We're going to remove the RSI by clicking this X. And then we're going to add the VWAP study. So let's go ahead and search for VWAP. There it is. And this is set to day. We want to make sure that we understand what it's set to. So, and this is a daily chart, so that's probably not going to work. We need to set this to higher than daily. Okay, we'll set it to week, and then we'll click OK. And then we want to update our code. But let's go ahead and hit apply so we can see the changes. So we've removed the RSI. And now we have added the VWAP to our chart. So let's go ahead and build this in the Condition Wizard on our custom study. We'll click on the script icon, and we can go ahead and erase all of this code. Right now, the Condition Wizard is grayed out. It's disabled because we've got regular code in here, and the Condition Wizard doesn't understand that code. So we're just going to hit the backspace to delete all of that, and it's going to open up that Condition Wizard so that we can go in and add a condition. We're going to select Study and search for VWAP. Actually, I did that backwards. First, we're going to select Price and Close. There we go, because we want to know when the closing price is greater than, and then we'll select the VWAP study. And there we are. Now notice there's a couple of other plots here. So if you wanted to select the upper band or the lower band of the VWAP, you can do so here. Remember, on the chart, we have the chart set to daily, so we had to change our time frame to week. All right, so we're going to update that here on the Condition Wizard. We're going to hit save, and you can notice that it's already inserted that parameter in the code. So it builds the code for us. Let's go ahead and hit apply and OK, and we can go ahead and review and see how this works out. So we've got a value of 0, remember, is false. So the close is below the VWAP here, and then here the close is above the VWAP. So here you can see the indicator is a true false, indicating whether the price is above or below the VWAP. Now let's go ahead and grab that code and insert it into our custom column. We'll go to Studies, Edit Studies, click on the script icon there, and then we'll copy that code. Hit cancel and cancel. We'll go and edit the custom column, edit formula, and then we'll select all of this and remove that text and select paste. All right, so now our custom column and our watch list, if we hit apply and OK, is going to have ones and zeros just like it shows on the lower study of our chart. So let's look at BHP. It says 0, so if we click on that, sure enough, it has 0 on the lower subgraph here. So now we know everything is matched up, and so we can see it's 0 because the price is below the VWAP line. So let's go ahead and right click and select Edit Formula, because now we're going to assign the background color. We're going to go to the ThinkScript editor. We're going to create a new line. Then we're going to go back to the Thinkorswim Learning Center, and we're going to copy that code, assign background color. We'll paste that. Okay. The other thing that we need to do, I forgot to do this, we need to assign a variable. So let's see, we're just going to call this value. It doesn't really matter what the name is here. And we're going to put a semicolon at the end. Remember, that's required. So now we've got a plot. Let's change this from def to a plot. Yes. So now you can see we've got a plot named value that has a true-false result. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to insert here into this parentheses. We're going to say if value, so I'm just pasting there, equals 1, then color green, color dot green, else color dot red. Now technically we could end up with something here where the price is equal to the VWAP, in which case we wouldn't get a true or a false, right? Because we're saying if value equals 1, and if not, color red. So it could be equal to, and if you want to cover that, you can get fancy and add another section there. For the purpose of the video and to keep things brief, let's just leave it as is. And remember, we want to go ahead and also update the value of the text that's displayed in that column. So we're going to copy assign value color. Remember, we need to assign that to a plot. So we type value, we paste assign value color. If value equals 1, then what do we want? We want color black. Else color what? Color dot current. Okay, so we've done all of that together in one step. We'll hit apply and OK. And now let's go ahead and go back to the chart, and we can click through some of these. You can see really clearly eBay is above the VWAP, just barely. You can see that on that last bar right there. And you can see that Facebook, for instance, is below the VWAP. Okay, just barely below the VWAP. So, but that makes it really easy to see, and you've got all your colors there displaying in the custom column, so you know exactly what the condition of that stock is. Okay, so next we're going to cover the wow, we're already up to the TTM Wave. Yeah, so we're going to cover the TTM Wave next, and where that one shows red or yellow depending on the position of the histogram. And let's see what the user requested here. Could you write a simple code? They always say that. They always use the word simple. To custom color watch list columns based on the TTM Wave 1, which is the one that's red or yellow. If the current bar wave 1 is greater than the 1 bar ago, then color yellow, else color red. Okay, so we're going to show how to do this with the Condition Wizard. This is how I did it, just writing the code from memory, just because I know how this stuff works. Okay, and let's go ahead and go to the chart, and we're going to update our chart. We're going to remove, through Edit Studies, the VWAP, and then we're going to update the code. But first, let's go ahead and add the TTM Wave. Now all we care about is the wave 1, which is the yellow and the red. So we're going to turn off the wave 2, and we're going to turn off the wave 2 low. Okay, so we're turning off the wave 2 high and the wave 2 low. Okay, we hit OK, and then we hit apply. Now we've got that in the lower study. Now we're going ahead and build our condition. So we go ahead into the custom study that we have here, and we can go ahead and go to the condition wizard. We can delete the one that's there, add a new condition. Again, I'm going fast here because we're nearing the end of the video, but if you get lost, again, go back to that first example where I covered everything step by step very slowly. Let's see, now we need to know if the study named TTM Wave, and we need to know if the current bar of the TTM Wave, notice the offset is set to 0, so we're covering something new, new concept here, offset, okay, is greater than, and we're going to select the same study, okay, and it's the same plot, so we're dealing wave 1 and wave 1, and we're saying if the wave 1 of the current bar is greater than the wave 1 of the previous bar, okay, so that's +1. The offset is +1. It might seem like you need to put a -1 there, but no, I'm sorry. You put a +1 in there, and you hit save, and watch what happens. It says TTM Wave 1 is greater than TTM Wave 1 from 1 bars ago. There you go. So now let's go ahead and hit OK, apply and OK. And we can see that on our special custom indicator that it's every time the indicator is red on the bottom, we have a 0 plot, and every time it turns to yellow, the plot moves from 0 to 1. Okay, so now we can go ahead and insert that into our custom column. We'll go to Edit Studies, click the script icon, copy this code. We'll cancel and cancel. We'll right click over that column in our watch list, edit the formula. We'll select all of this text here, and we can paste in the new text. We can hit apply and OK, and then we can see a series of 1s and 0s. Like for instance, Hess is a 0. So if we click on Hess, we see that the histogram is currently red. And if we click on Nike, the histogram is currently yellow, just like it shows in our column of our watch list. So now let's add some color to this. We'll right click and select Edit Formula, and we'll go to the ThinkScript editor. We're going to create a variable, so we're going to assign this true-false statement to a variable named value. Again, I said it doesn't matter what you name it. We're going to put a semicolon at the end. We're going to add a new line so that we can add our background color. Now I just remembered we need to change this to a plot because that's going to end up being the value of our custom column. Let's go back to the Thinkorswim Learning Center and copy that code that assigns the background color, and we'll go ahead and paste that in. And right now it would set everything to dark red, but we don't want that. Instead, we want to do this. If value equals 1, then color.yellow, else color.red. Now that probably looks like a dark red to me. So let's go ahead and put that in there and see if it lines up. We can change that later. And again, we also want to change the color of the value that's printed in there. So we want to go ahead and copy that from the Thinkorswim Learning Center. And in a new line, we want to type value, the name of our plot, put a dot in there, and then we'll paste in the assigned value color. And we want to say if value equals 1, then color.black, else color.current. So you see, if after you've seen this about 4 or 5 times, then you can kind of anticipate what I'm going to do next, right? So this becomes easier with practice. So just watch the video a couple of times and make sure you get enough practice in. And if you get frustrated, just post a question in the Q&A form on our website, and we can help you the rest of the way. Let's go ahead and hit apply and OK. And look at that. We've got everything set up and the colors are in alignment. We can click on Twitter. We can see that the histogram is red. We can click on Starbucks here and we can see the histogram is yellow. And you can do even a little bit more if you wanted to know, for instance, if it was yellow and above the zero line, or if it was yellow and below the zero line. If that made a difference to you, then you can see how that logic, you just construct a more complicated if then else statement. Okay, that's all you would need to do for that. So let's see, I did say that I was going to give you a bonus. I didn't mention what I was going to cover, but I think I've got it in mind now. Let's go ahead and get into the next example. Okay, and thanks for sticking through that break there, and I'm very grateful to be able to share this knowledge with you and show you guys this stuff. And for the last example, I'm going to take one of John Carter's studies. It's the linear regression channel. It's TTM LRC. We'll go ahead and add that to the chart. We'll go to Studies, Edit Studies, remove the TTM Wave. We'll go ahead and add in the LRC. There it is right there. And I'll go ahead and review the settings because it's very important that you understand something here, and that is the length. Okay, so the length is set to 50 right now. Okay, and that length is very, very important because the line is computed based upon that length. Okay, the line is going to change. In other words, the upper and lower bands are going to change depending on that length. So you want to make sure you absolutely get that matched up for each step along the way. Okay, so remember that it's set to 50. We're going to hit OK and we'll hit apply so we can see the result. So now you can see we've got the two lines on here. Let's go ahead and hit OK here and move the watch list out of the way so you can see that for the last 50 bars it plots the LRC. All right, so what we want to do is capture whether it is above or below these lines. Now I've got some lines turned off here. Let's go to Studies, Edit Studies, and go ahead and hit the gear icon here, and I want to show you that the upper band and the lower band are turned off. Okay, I'm only displaying on mine the outer bands. Let's say I've got the inner bands turned off, the outer bands are turned on, and I've got that set up as a default for my platform. You can set it however you want, but I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so we are dealing with UB2 and LB2. Okay, so I just wanted to keep it clean. I didn't want to put 4 lines on the chart and confuse people. Just keep it nice and clean. So we'll go ahead and hit cancel. Now we want to build our condition. So our lower study is going to show the condition based upon the TTM LRC. So we'll click on the script icon and we'll go to the condition wizard. We'll delete the condition that's there from our previous example. We'll click add condition. What we need is the price of close is greater than, and then we select our study from the right hand side. Okay, LRC. Okay, make sure, see the default's 38. Remember I pointed that out. You want it to make sure it's set at 50, and what we want is UB2. All right, that's the outer band of the 4 sets of lines there. That's the outer band. So we're saying if close is greater than the upper band 2 of the LRC. Save that condition. We'll add a new condition, and we'll go ahead and select price, and close is less than. Select a condition. We'll go to study, LRC. Make sure you update the length there from 38 to 50, and remember we're going to use the plot is LB2, so we want to know if close is below LB2. We'll click save. Now remember, these two conditions are impossible to happen together. Okay, so you could never build this into a scan because it's always going to be false, because the price cannot be both above the upper band as well as below the lower band at the same time, unless those no, it's impossible. Okay, so we're going to hit apply here, and it's going to give us a flat line. Don't worry about it because we're going to fix it just like I did in a previous example. What we're going to have to do is take these two conditions and separate them out into individual variables, and then we're going to set up our if-then else statement to change the background color. So what we want to do is go to the Think script editor, and we're going to split these. Remember from the previous example, the word and is a keyword that separates these two conditions. We're going to remove that by pressing backspace on the keyboard, and then we're going to press enter here where the cursor is right next to the word close. We press enter, and that gives us a new line. Now each of these lines are going to be an individual variable. So what do we want? We want to have define a variable named above, okay, and we'll put a semicolon at the end of that. So that's good. The red went away, so that's good. We define another variable, and we're going to call that below. We have to put the semicolon at the end. So now we've got two variables. One is named above, the other is named below. And remember, they both can't be true at the same time. Each one represents something distinct and different that we want to capture with our custom watch list. Let's go to the Thinkorswim Learning Center, and we're going to grab the example here for the background color. Remember, I said after you see this a few times, you're going to begin to anticipate exactly what I'm going to do next. So we're going to paste that in, and then we need to set up our conditions. So we're going to erase all of this, and we're going to say if above, then color, what is that? That's a short. That's a potential short, right? So then color red. If below, then color green, because that's a potential long. Now, I'm not telling you how to trade this indicator. I'm just simply explaining to you how it's intended to be used. What John Carter teaches is that when it goes above one of these bands, it's time to, exit your long or take a new short. Okay, I don't want to get into this. I'm not teaching you how to make money or trade this for money. I'm just showing you how it's used by the professionals. So we have if above. Notice I don't have any equal signs there. That's because above is a true-false statement. So it's if above is true, then color red. If below, again, that's a true-false statement. If below is true, then color green. Now we need one more. Notice it's still red. It's waiting for me to finish the statement. Else, okay, if it's neither, if it's not above or below, then what? We want color, yes, you got it, color current. Okay? And you want to make sure that if you're building that nested if statement, and that's what this is called, I forgot that one else portion right there. So if above, then color red, else, if below, then color green, else, color current. So that's what's called a nested if statement. This if and then, okay, is nested within this one, okay? So that might be a topic for another video. I hope I didn't just blow your minds, okay? Sorry. Okay, so we got our background color. Let's go ahead and put in our text color. So let's go back to the Thinkorswim Learning Center, and we'll copy from the assign value color, and we need to have a plot. So let's go ahead and create a plot. We're going to call it value equals if above, then 1, else if below, then -1, else 0. So now we have our plot. So that's going to display in our custom watch list column. And if above is true, in other words, if the price is above, then we probably want that to be minus, huh? Yeah. So because that represents a short position, and we'll change this one to positive. Okay. I always like to think these things through. Even when I'm writing code for a project, I'll sit here and I'll think to myself, gee, is that right? And I'll read it to myself just like this. So if above is true, meaning if the price is above the outer LRC channel, then -1. Else if below, if the price is below the outer lower channel, then 1. Okay, otherwise 0. So that's going to give us our values in our custom watch list. And then remember, we need to assign this. So we value dot assign value color, and then so what we want is we want to say if value equals 0, then color dot current. Very good for those of you who got that. Color current. Else, so if it's not 0, then it's something else, and what we want is color black, so that way it shows up a little bit more clearly on the watch list. And we finish that up with a parentheses and a semicolon. So let's go ahead and hit apply and OK and check out our results. So, and I just realized I built this all within the custom study. So we're going to copy all of this code and we're going to paste that into our custom column. So I'm going to hit cancel here, and I'm going to hit cancel here, and we'll bring in our custom watch list that has the code from our previous example. We'll hit edit formula, and then we'll highlight all of this text from our previous example and we'll paste in the code that we just created. So we'll hit apply and OK, and you can see that we've got a few here. We've got I think that's mosaic, I think is what that stock ticker means. So that's a +1. What does that mean? That means price should be below that outer band of the LRC. Whoops, let's go ahead and update that study for the chart. Edit studies, and I'm going to go ahead and take out that assign background color. Sorry about that, guys. Don't worry, it's just a happy little accident. I'm learning that from Bob Ross, right? If you make an accident, it's easy to fix. So you hit apply and OK, and apply and OK. All right, so there we go. We've got the price is below that outer band of the LRC, and that was indicated by a green on our custom watch list. Now we don't have any reds here, so we don't have an example of that, but you can see that if you click on one that's a blank, in other words, it's not green or red, the price is going to be between those lines. If you had anything in here that were red, it would surely be above the outer band. So here's that one's Chevron. You can click here and you can see that price is below that outer band. Okay, that's kind of a rare signal. That's why you don't have too many here shown up on the list, because the outer bands are the ones that are furthest away. Those are the most rare. If you did this with the inner bands, let's do that real quick as a bonus here. We're going to close up this video here. I'm already way over the time limit that I wanted to be. So let's go ahead and change this. I'm going to show you how to do that, because we can't do it through the condition wizard anymore because we modified the code. We're going to change this to UB1. We're going to change this to LB1. Hit apply and OK. And that's going to update. Now we've got a lot more color on the chart, and we got some greens and reds. So now let's update our chart. And we'll go to studies, edit studies, and we'll go ahead and turn off UB2 and LB2, and then we'll turn on LB1 and UB1. Okay, so hit apply and OK. So now you can see that we've got the inner bands are plotted on the chart. So if we go here to CELG, you can see that it is above that inner top line. And if we go to Yelp, you can see that it's below the inner lower line. Okay, so hopefully that didn't confuse too many of you. I just wanted to show you some of that stuff, some of the more advanced stuff, because I know there's a wide variety of viewers that I'm talking to here, and I know some of you are just barely able to grasp the first example I gave, and if you toughed it through the rest of the video and you're looking at this advanced stuff and pulling your hair out, don't worry about it. This was for the people who can move on to that next level. Go back to the first example, practice a little bit more, watch the video a few times. It will come with practice, okay? It will come with practice. So guys, I'm just so excited. I've got goosebumps. I'm so excited that I've been able to share this knowledge with you, and I sure hope that you guys are going to be able to build some fantastic tools that save you time and make your trading so much more effective and efficient. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate your support. Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to visit www.hahn-tech.com for the full library of tutorials. I hope this video increases your knowledge and helps you become more efficient with this topic, whether for home or work. Please support this channel by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Thanks, and take care.